Here's the thing, guys. I'm kind of like an open book, and as such, I see we got Wisconsin, we got Orlando, Rapid City, SD. What's that? South Dakota?
Probably.
Yeah, I guess that could only be South Dakota. We got somebody from Jersey. What's up? So, I mean, I'm kind of like an open book. So I'm going to give you my background for those of you who maybe have not had an opportunity to hook up with me before. Basically, I started my business in 2001. And the reason why I started my business is because I was going bankrupt. I'd actually signed the papers, and I hadn't turned them in yet. So I had the lawyer draw up my paperwork, and I just hadn't turned it in. And at the same time, I had a vacation that I had paid for the year before. So, you pay for a vacation, and then you're supposed to take it. So I'm getting ready to take a vacation, and I'm going bankrupt. I'm totally shit out of money, shit out of luck, and shit out of money. And the deal was, I've been watching those stupid TV shows. Actually, it was before the TV shows, but back in like the early part of that century, that is a century now, is that people were doing Flip This House. So now they got all the shows about house flipping, but this is when house flipping was the new Amazon. And I say that. And for a very specific reason. It was like, everybody get in now. You can flip a house. It's easy. You don't have to do shit. You just need to spend a few dollars on my course. And then, right? So I found a guy that was doing the house flipping. I gave him $10,000. He bought the house. We went to the closing, and we were supposed to flip the house in 90 days. So we got a hard money loan, which is basically an Amazon loan. It's Amazon lending is a hard money loan. Yeah. It's like you've got a definitive date, and it has to be paid off by that date, or they drain your bank account. So we did a walkthrough of the house, and I told everybody what we were supposed to do. The guy that I was dealing with, my partner, he actually was responsible for the housework because I had a job. I was working every day on a regular 9-to-5 picking cotton. So, yeah, right. And so the deal is we get to, 3 weeks before the hard money loan is due in. And I go for the walkthrough of the house, and it's supposed to be a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We get there, and it's a 2-bedroom. No, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We get there, it's a 2-bedroom, 2 bath. How does that happen? I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? Where's our other bedroom? And, this is in a area of the city where I live in Atlanta. So it's on the corner of Joseph Lowry and Martin Luther King. So that's 2 black people. If you're on a street, that's a street corner with 2 black people's names, that's not necessarily the greatest place to have housing investment. So, the deal was, though, we knew what we were doing in terms of that piece of property was supposed to be, Section 8 housing. But the difference between a 2-bedroom house for Section 8 and a 3-bedroom house was like $400 or $500 difference in terms of what you can get for rent. So the way that the house was, we couldn't even make the mortgage payment, let alone the hard money loan payment. So that was the long story. I was going to make it short, but it's too long to make short. So the hard money loans coming in, I've got to declare bankruptcy, or I'm going to lose my current house. And so I, at that time, had told a friend of mine to, what was going on. He's like, well, you can start selling stuff on eBay. I was like, yeah, I never heard of that. Maybe I'll give that a try. And so I started selling some books on eBay, and that started working. So, a lot of people, even today, media is a great way to get started. If it ain't media, it's shoes, clothing, things like that. But it was about things around the house. So, yeah, I started selling stuff on eBay. When I went on my vacation, I looked at my eBay account, and all of a sudden I had enough to make the next month's mortgage payment. So that was the beginning of me hustling every day to make the mortgage payment. and using the internet to sell stuff. And so I started selling, like I said, my used books and stuff. But all of a sudden, of course, you only have so many of those around your house. I started looking at other things to sell around the house. I ended up figuring out that if I could find free after rebate stuff, and that's kind of like stuff that we used to get in a sales circular in this thing called a newspaper. I know you guys probably don't even know what a newspaper is, but it's a dead tree that you write on and then you sell it on the corner of the papers, right? So they used to sell these Sunday papers, and in the Sunday paper, this is when Staples, Office Depot, Office Max, and there was another big company that started at the same time, and they were all trying to get traffic. So in order to get market share, they would do free after rebate deals. So the free after rebate deal that we really started, flipping like crazy was we used to get inkjet printers. And inkjet printers, they don't make money on the printer. They make money on the ink. It's a total, drug dealer play. You get your first hit for free, and then you're stuck on the rest of it. I know. I'm sorry, guys. Those of you that have not heard of me before, but if I haven't offended you yet, I probably will before this is over. So, but we did the deals, and we would buy these printers free after rebate. So the key was you had to turn in the rebate, or it wasn't good. But I had a partner, and he was really good at doing the rebate part. I was good at finding the deals. So we get the printers, we bring them in, we'd open the box, right? Because there would be a starter set of inks inside the box. So we'd open the box, we take the starter inks out, and we'd reseal the box, and we would sell it on eBay. And we would sell it on eBay as an open box, brand new printer, no inks, right? So we told them exactly what it was. Open box printer, we made it a good price. And basically, we sold the inks. And that's where we made most of our profits, because we got the printer for free and we got the inks free. So, I mean, when you can get free shit and flip it, that's the best ROI ever, right? So we was doing that. I mean, like every Sunday, I had a map of the city, and we would hit store after store after store on Sunday, have that stuff listed by Monday and resold by Saturday. And that was my hustle for a long time. And it paid pretty well. So I took that money and I started stacking it into our next deal, which were Dell computers. And we found the Dell outlet store. You can go there today and still get good, prices on laptops if you ever use those things. I know everything's done on the phone now, but you can get things at the Dell outlet. So we used to get these desktop printers at the time from Dell outlet. And I don't know, we were getting them at sub $200, that was, we had it set up so that it would literally, we had written a script that would scrape the screen on the Dell outlet site. And then when it comes down to the bottom part where it said under $200, it would automatically add it to a cart. It would send me a notification. It was a text at the time. It would send me a text, and I would go and complete the checkout. So we had this totally automated. It was a great system. My friend wrote it, and it would work. It would put the item in the cart, and when it was in the cart, it could stay in the cart. We didn't have that. Like now, once you put an item in the cart, you don't own the item until you check it out. But back then, it was like, there was a big, long delay. So we put it in the cart. I would buy them, and then we'd flip them. And, we were flipping a lot of computers. Really good stuff. And I will never forget that on December 19th, we were selling so many computers, from just the Christmas season, that PayPal thought we were doing drugs, and they shut me down on December 19th. And I had so many orders. People, all of a sudden, I'm sitting at work because I'm still at work, remember? I'm sitting at work. And I'm getting these emails coming in and people saying, we can't check out. We can't check out. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I go look, PayPal has frozen our accounts. And literally, this is bad, man, because back then when they froze your account, you couldn't get your money for 6 months. It was gone. And there was nothing I could do, nobody I could call. So when you complain today about your problem with Amazon, shut you down, I don't give a shit. You ain't never been shut down this hard. Never. I had to call my mom, open up a PayPal like just to get the check out and the money. And I never got my money back for another 6 months. Just imagine how your business, just where you're at right now. If you had all of your income stopped for 6 months and you'd had nothing to invest, it was pretty much like, oh my God. But that's when I learned about credit, and we got some credit cards and American Express, because they had no limit on it as long as you paid it off every month. So that's kind of how I got into that. So my next hustle, because everything runs in cycles. This is kind of really what I'm really kind of telling you about e-commerce, because I've been doing this for nearly 20 years now. E-commerce changes every day. Every day. What you think you're doing today is not going to work tomorrow, because there's always somebody, and here's the reason why. There's always somebody watching you. Your competition is constantly watching you because they can see you. You know what I'm saying? They can see you. It's hard for me to walk into a brick and mortar store and actually tell how many of those items they're selling on that shelf. They don't have that visibility. But online, you've got visibility in other people's business. And the more success that you have, the more eyeballs of competitors that you will attract, because they can actually kind of back end figure out, like on an Amazon platform, you can figure out with these tools basically how many units an item is sold with a Jungle Scout or one of these other tools like that. So when you are successful, the more successful you get, the more eyeballs you start to track, So at any rate, my next hustle was Amazon. And before Amazon did third-party services, Amazon tried to do their own product sales through, manufacturers. And they had a good deal going on where they would get items into their warehouse. And then when the warehouse got full or items weren't moving, they would liquidate like crazy. And so we found some liquidation items and some cookware items. I don't know if you ever heard of Le Creuset. But it's like this. You've heard of it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know how expensive that stuff is, man.
Yeah.
It's cast iron cookware. It lasts forever.
Yeah.
When you buy that thing, you're going to pass it down to your grandkids.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we had the Le Creuset. It was the big turkey pot. It was like I think it's like 16 quarts, the biggest one they've got. And we were getting these Dutch ovens. They were turkey Dutch ovens. And we were getting them for like $50 a piece delivered. And they sell for $300 plus. I think they list for like $389 at the time. And we was getting those off like crazy. I remember my entire living room was full. My dining room was full. And my mom's garage was full of Le Creusets. And we were just popping those out like crazy. And that was how I actually started my business, because I took that money and decided that I didn't want to do flips all the time, because I had done so many different flips that I recognized that at some level I was not really building a business. I was basically just a product supplier for eBay, which is fine. I get it, but it was a job, and it was just me transferring one job for another job, but I did control the other job. But I wanted to build a business. And the only way I figured that we could do that is to be in control of the manufacturing process, be in control of the marketing process, and build a brand. And so I ended up building a brand. It was called Third Power Outlet. I don't even know if it exists anymore. I think it does. I think it rolls over to our new brand. But at any rate, we built a business, Third Power Outlet. It was based on hip-hop gear. And I was all into hip hop. I got the gray now, just prove it. But, I was there when that shit started. I mean, literally, I was there, and always was into the culture. And we started, finding product that was really based on hip hop. And one of the products was a bandana. And I mean, we didn't create the bandana. I just saw it one day at a wholesale store. I was like, hey, those are cheap. And everybody wears bandanas. Let's grab some bandanas to go along with the jewelry and the hats and the whole thing that we used to do. We only sold the accessories. So I don't know. I hope this is a good story.
Oh, it is.
It's a good story
definitely.
for me. But so we started selling the bandanas, and that changed everything because first, I remember like there was a Tupac, thing going on, and he had recently passed away, but his music was still playing, right? And he had some of his greatest hits right after he passed away. And also, I think a lot of middle America was opening up to, the hip hop culture really because of a guy like Tupac, and there was Biggie at the time, but I think Tupac had this thing going on. That's why a movie's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But Tupac used to wear his bandana a very specific way.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember?
Yeah, the black one. He wore it folded up around his head and tied up. Yeah.
And tied it to the front, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, black people know how to do that shit. I mean, it's Aunt Jemima's thing. I mean, it was on the pancake box.
Yeah.
We knew how to do it, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that the people that were buying their bandanas were not necessarily just the East Coast and the West Coast folks. We had a lot of people in the middle part of America that was buying it. And unfortunately, they didn't have the education of the culture. So they would ask me, hey, how do you fold a bandana to look like Tupac? That became my number one question. I would spend half my day answering this question for people that bought the bandana. So I was like, you know what? I got a wild hair one day. I decided to record a video and post it. Now, remember, I recorded this video on my first video camera. It was a 1 megapixel camera. So if you think about that, we got,
pixelated.
16? Yeah, it was totally pixelated. And it was like how to fold a bandana to look like Tupac. And I would take that question and just, put the URL to the bandana video on YouTube. If you go out to that video right now, it's got over 300,000 views. We ended up transacting more than 10,000 transactions, not 10,000, bandanas, 10,000 transactions. And that was after I stopped counting. I mean, it's probably up to like 20 by now,
Yeah.
But the video literally went viral. All of my competitors were embedding the video on their frequently asked questions site. So when I got wind of that afterward, because I started looking at where my traffic was coming from into the video, I was like, whoa, man, they didn't steal my video. And then I was like kind of pissed, and I was going to do like a cease and desist. And I thought about it, I was like, wait, if I just put my branding on the video and told them where to buy it, then I would steal their traffic. And I did that. And so that was like probably one of the most brilliant things we ended up doing. And that's kind of how I learned how to sell products through social media before, again, that it was, a thing. It was like, okay, if I created good content that would answer, remember this, that was answering the number one question my customers had. So you think about this, guys, you're in the Amazon world. There's Q&A all the time on these
product pages. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to get in, because I know how some of y'all do. Y'all be copying other people's shit. You found that shit. That shit sells. I'm going to go make me some. Right. Well, while you're looking at that shit, look at the questions. Right. And then create content that is social content that answers specific questions about it and drive traffic to your stuff through social media just by answering the questions in the frequently asked questions on Amazon. It's a brilliant strategy and it works. It works like water, man. I mean, it's like wildfire. Literally, when you put out content that's usable and it doesn't look salesy, but it's like, oh, but by the way, when you want a bandana, we're here for you. What that does is people go through the process when they're buyers of first they have awareness. It's called the buyer's journey. The first thing is you get aware of a product, and then you do your research, and then after you've been made aware of it, after you've done your research on the product, you've come to the conclusion that you want to buy the product. The next phase is, who do I want to buy it from, right? So the deal is a lot of us, the easy layup is always to be the lower price guy. right? So it's like, oh, when people are making the determination about who they're going to buy from, well, let's just be the lower price guy. That's an easy layup, although it becomes a race to the bottom, which is a problem because your prices, as soon as I see you changing your price, I'm going to change my price. And you go back and forth and back and forth. All of a sudden, you're into a product and have zero, margins on it. But you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to move it up. So it gets higher in the rankings, and that will do it. And then you change the price back to the old price, and you sell a few units, and then it goes back to the same race to the bottom again. So how do you get around that? You get around that by building a brand, and you build brand affinity. So the deal is when you are the educator of the person trying to make the decision, and you give them good content, when they're making a decision, you become top of mind because you've built that brand into their mind. You've given them value. They have now some affinity towards you that they're not going to do just like, oh, I can save a quarter if I go with this guy. But no, they're not even thinking about that guy anymore because your brand and you guys are the ones that actually help them come to that decision. They may not ever look at anybody else's product at that time. So that's kind of one powerful way for you to just, make easy content all day long, answering people's questions about a specific problem. And you're jumping into their buyer's journey way before they've even made the decision to purchase. They're still making a decision about whether or not they want it. And you're helping them make that decision. Once you help them make that decision, you're going to be top of mind when they want to buy, and they're going to actually be attached to you based on that brand affinity. So that's my 2 cents. And, we're done. Okay. No, let me think. Is that the end? Yeah.
We have a question on here.
I see a question. I'm just trying to make sure that that's the end of that journey. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, that's far enough. I was going to tell you. So basically, I was going to tell you guys this one thing is that back in, we grew the business so much that when Amazon was doing their third-party systems, they contacted us to be a beta tester. So the system that we're all on today, I was helping beta test. They didn't have that many people to go to, so they went to the top eBay sellers and they asked us if we would help beta test their new third-party platform. And I never took it seriously. Not until 2008. Actually, it wasn't 2008, it was 2009. After everything fell apart in the community, in terms of our country, we went through the recession, the deal was the whole culture of hip hop changed. So what was really big for us just evaporated, really, because early hip hop in the time of the Biggies and the Tupacs and the Diddies, it was all about bling bling. The bling is back now, but it was all about bling bling and throwing up the money and all that. And then 2008 hits, that just evaporated. Nobody was buying the bling jewelry anymore. Nobody was doing the bling earrings. So we really got hit very, very hard. And so I had to do something. I'm not going to tell you what I did. I'll tell you later. If we get to that point, I want to answer this question. Came in late, John, saying that going private label is the only way to go. Is going private label the only way to go? No, there's a lot of ways to do business. Matter of fact, I speak at a lot of conferences. A lot of you guys have seen me speak in e-commerce conferences, but I also speak at affiliate conferences. I speak at small business conferences. So there's a lot of different business models. But I will tell you something, man, that the people, like, how you go to these conferences and you have these one little party and, oh, we're going to go out to eat together. Let's get some drinks. Well, I went to the Affiliate Summit Conference. Now, you know what affiliates are, right? These are people that just drive traffic to a thing and they make a small affiliate fee for driving the traffic and making the sales. These people make God money. Right? They make more money than God. They make preachers look broke. I went to some parties and seen some people making some money doing that. That's like crazy, right? So what my point is that if you are able to drive traffic to get people to make purchases, that's the only way to really go. everything that we do is really based on that. So yes, we got a product at the end, or you might not even have a product like these guys. They don't have a product. They just know how to drive traffic to different things and make the most money, airline seats and, dentist appointments and all this kind of crap. So that when I went there, that's what I learned. I was like, the real deal is if I learn how to drive my own traffic, that's where the money is. So in my opinion, in my humble opinion, if you take the time to learn how to drive traffic, then you'll never be broke. You'll never be broke because there's always a way for you. Like if Amazon shut me down today, I know that I can drive traffic to my website so that I can eat and feed my kitties. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about this, guys. What we're into, we're entrepreneurs. And an entrepreneur, our job is to wake up every morning, go out, find something, kill it, and drag it home. That's our job, right? So you got to always be thinking about how am I going to do that if something happens, And the more of those ifs that you fill, the better you're going to do, right? Because things change all the time. So I hope that helps, Mike. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Sally, she says, what has been your most successful marketing tool you have used in your business? My most that video definitely was my most successful. The only reason why I think that was the most successful, just because of all the other things that came from it. The only reason I started speaking was because of that video. Somebody had a conference and they had seen this video. They knew I was an eBay seller and they contacted me and said, hey, would you teach on YouTube for marketing? So I got I got my whole career. That's like actually right now, I think I made the video in 2007. That's when I made that actual video. And I'm getting ready to go back and do like a 10-year, anniversary, not of the video, but all of the things that I've learned from doing marketing. So I think video marketing is probably the best tool. Now, the deal is back in the day, YouTube was the only play for video marketing. Today, however, video marketing is everywhere. So Facebook wants to be they want to beat YouTube. So Facebook marketing with video right now is cheap. And the reason why it's cheap and the reason why it's so good is because everybody else thinks it's hard to make a video, right? They all think it's hard to make a video. Who cares about, all the thing you have to make a good video is it has to be clear enough for people to see and the audio has to be good. That's the only part that people really care about. I'll watch even a fuzzy video if I can hear what you're saying and what you're saying is good. So don't go overboard trying to produce videos. You look at videos and you think about the videos or most of the videos that are viral, other than a music video, right? Most of those videos are shot on this.
Yep.
So don't overproduce a video. Just get a video done. Make sure, if it's got to be a professional video because you're talking about a professional topic or whatever, fine. Go for it. I was just talking to a guy the other day. He's a internet marketer, right? So you know what these internet marketer guys are, right? I mean, God, they're scientists. They really are scientists. It can look haphazard, but they are scientists. So he told me the other day, he said, John, look, I found out that the video that converts best for our product is the video I do like this. And he says, I hold it this way and I hold it at an arm's length and I'll stand, I'll be in certain places or whatever, but that video converts better than him standing in front of the mansion with the fast car, right? Mm-hmm. So you just have to realize, man, that everything's about testing. But they've tested this out and they realized that the unprofessional videos, like he said he tried it this way, and this one converts better, because everybody was like, well, don't put it that way because, you want it to fit. He's like, no, for some reason, this one works. And the cool thing about what they do is they don't question and this is what I do, and a lot of us end up doing, we question the reality.
Yeah.
We always do. When it doesn't make sense, we want to make it make sense. Yeah. These guys, no, they just test, and whatever works, they're going with the numbers. And so I learned something from that. So you'll see me making more and more videos like this and shit. I'll be like, because I like people to engage with my videos. But so at any rate, so back to the question, video is definitely the greatest tool. And the cool thing is that we've got video on Facebook, we got video on Insta, you got video on Snap, you got video on YouTube, right? All of these places use videos, and all of the channels want you to do more videos. So when you do a video on YouTube, on Facebook, they automatically give you more viewerships just because it's a video. So just watch yourself do a video. And now that they're pushing just video, they're pushing live video. So if you can do a live video, you're going to get even more. And then once it's live, you take the recording, you disperse it everywhere, new stuff that's going on. You got to watch. Right now, you can get in, how hard it is to get into people's timelines, right? Sometimes it's hard to get in their timeline. You want to get into somebody's face immediately. All you got to do is record a video and put it in the, what do they call that? On Messenger. They got your stories now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're calling a Snapchat.
Right. So same thing with Insta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing. So you put it in there, and you're creating the story, but the story pops up anytime I go into my Messenger. So that's how you get in front of people right now. So there's some shit that you can take. I'm tearing it apart. I'm always tearing the marketing stuff apart. But video is, to me, the best, because once you take a video, you can extract the audio from that, and then you've got an MP3, and then you can take the MP3, go over to rev.com. If you don't know about Rev, they do $1 a minute transcriptions, and you can create blog posts and books and all that kind of stuff from that same content. So I like video just for that. All right. Thanks, Sally. That was good too. Wow. How do you learn how to do traffic? That's a good question. You go to Google it. You Google it. And I'm not playing. Google it. Just Google how to drive traffic to my products and see what you come up with, and start reading the stories, start following the bloggers and there's a whole industry of nothing but traffic driving. Don't limit yourself. Here's another thing too. Most of the things I've learned about e-commerce, I never learned from an e-commerce person. That's why I'm an industry thought leader. They call me a thought leader. They fly me all over the freaking world because they call me a thought leader. And the real deal is I'm not a thought leader. I just don't listen to other e-commerce people. I listen to other people in other industries, and I bring that in to our industry or our way of doing things. And all of a sudden I look like a thought leader. I'm not that smart. I just know that I can learn from anybody. I can go to a dentist conference tomorrow, and it'll teach me how to sell more stuff on Amazon. So you want to really think outside of the box, because once somebody starts teaching you something, just like I'm teaching you right now, and this is something really good that somebody told me. Why I keep doing that? It's like I have to fold my business. So right now I'm in my warehouse. That's my little thing. I just got fired from my own business. All right. So my spouse fired me. We started this business together. And he basically is like, you know what? You're fired. And I'm like, what? I started this thing. I was really kind of pissed off, right? And he didn't tell me I was fired. You can't just come out like that. But it was that really serious conversation. And it's like, you're on the road a lot. And I am on the road a lot. I'll probably do 25, 30 dates this year. And, it's like you always want to come back and jump into this thing. And I've been here all the time, but you always want to jump in with your new ideas and some stuff you learned on the road and all that, jacking up my moves here. So I was like, okay. And once we made that separation, it's freed me up, because it's very rare. And I know a lot of people in this industry, and a lot of them are teaching and training and speaking and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. But as long as they selling, they can't tell you everything. They just can't, because it's hard. It's hard getting out here and hustling. It's hard. So what I'm saying is, if you keep buying into everybody else's course, looking for the secret, you'll recognize at some level that they're not really going to tell you the secret, because if they did, they wouldn't be selling their shit. We're not trying to build competition for ourselves. So go outside of that, because sales has been around since what they call the oldest business in the world is selling sex. Look, sales have been around forever. There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to selling as far as the principle of selling. You just take most of the books I read and most of the books I cherish on selling and driving traffic were written in the 1930s. Let me say that again. Most of the books that I read and most of the things that I cherish in terms of principles on driving traffic was created back in the 1930s. The key is you just have to reinterpret that and think about the tools we have today. And it's like, how can I do that on a mobile phone? How can I do that with a YouTube video? And when you tease that out, you're going to be able to figure out new and killer ways to just slay the competition. And that's how you drive traffic. What are your thoughts on risk aversion? Risk aversion. My thought on risk aversion is I'm always the kind of guy that believes in multiple streams of income, because I can deal. It's like, a fast flowing river comes from small streams. And when you have small streams feeding into that river, and all of a sudden those streams start getting faster, the river just is right. So risk averse. And then the deal is, if one of my streams get cut off, like they cut me off from this business, it's like, you fired. I ain't worried about it. I got other money coming in. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I really believe is multiple streams of income. Like right now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have a lot of clients who have this issue, who are scared of taking risks and diversifying. They find something that works, and then they want to stick with that one thing. So they need to hear this right now a lot.
Oh, either that or just go get a job. I'm serious. I mean, if you look, this being an entrepreneur and an e-commerce person, if you're scared of risk, this is not the business for you. Get your resume together. That's my advice. See, because here's the deal, man. Shit will happen. Murphy's Law is called a law for a reason, so you got to always be able to plan and think. And then the other thing is, man, and this is kind of like, I'm trying to figure out how it is. The deal is, if you're scared of risk, the best way to get into doing some risk is just set aside some play money. You set aside maybe 5-10% of your profits, and you call that play money. That's money that you can invest and possibly lose, right? When I go to Las Vegas, every dollar that I spend in a casino is money I can lose. I walk in knowing exactly how much I'm going to lose, because you will lose, right? Because it's Vegas, right? By the time you leave the city, all that shit's gone. You win on day one, by the end of day 5, it's gone anyway, right? So the deal is, you have this play money set aside, and you say, this is money that if something happens, I can lose it. I'll be okay. And you play with that. You use that to buy new inventory, to create new products, to drive some traffic, And honestly, that would be one of those areas that I would play with money, is like, let's go over here and create some content and try to drive some of our own traffic to our products and or site, and just see if it works, But if it doesn't, I'm not really out. It's part of our play money, but you never know, man, what might hit and just flip your business and 10x what you're already doing. So don't be afraid of risk aversion, but, pad it so that that you're going to be all right in the end. I don't believe in, throwing all your chips in and betting on black, although I know people that's done that, and they're sitting around right now talking about all the Bitcoins they got. I'm like, man, I wouldn't buy no Bitcoins. I mean, and that's the other thing too. I mean, you can't go back and say, man, I wish I would have been doing spinners. I remember a time I was walking on the floor and saw the spinners and I didn't even buy them. I'm like, don't even worry about it, man, because there will always be another chance. Don't beat yourself up over the whys. So that's cool. Yeah. All right. I ain't see no more questions. If you got any more, I'm like an open book. I will tell you anything right about now. I don't know. And I haven't been drinking, but I don't even drink anymore. I did the other day. Yeah, Wesley Snipes says you can bet on black. Yeah, right. Right. He tried that shit. That's why he did 10 years in jail.
That didn't work out so well for him.
It didn't work out so good. You know, tax, you got to pay your taxes. I don't even want to get into that one, man, but pay your taxes, you know.
Yeah.
It's like right now I'm in this mode where I'm like, this year is going to be really hard next year for the tax thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, Wesley Snipes is a stud. I will definitely give him that, man. He made his comeback. He made his comeback. Is there a book you recommend to anyone who is just venturing into the e-commerce space? Let's see. A book on e-commerce. Wow. Other than mine. All right. Let me just tell you, my book is called Kick-Ass Social Commerce, and everything I'm really kind of spewing and talking about in terms of driving traffic and social media, I put in that book. So if you ever want a book on that, that's a good book, but that's not the book I would recommend for e-commerce. I'm trying to think of a good book for e-com right now. You know, there's a new book. There's a new book out, and it's by a friend of mine, man. And it's like, I think it's called Sell Like Amazon, and it's got a lemonade stand on the front. Let me see if I can find this. And the lessons that he teaches in this book, it's like, I just love the way he sets it all up. It's a conversation between a young child, or not a child, but a young person, and like his dad. And dad is teaching him business lessons, and all of the lessons really are pulled from Amazon success. And it's a great book. So I just want to make sure what it's called, though. I don't remember. Is it called Sell Like Amazon? I don't remember. But you know what? I'll follow back up and I'll get it over to you guys. It's by Brian Eisenberg, and it's his brand new book. He gave it to me to read back when he was putting it together. And I was like, Brian, this is so good, you know? So that would be my right now book for a newbie, because it's written in that way that you can really just totally understand. Okay? I need to teach Wesley Snipes. Who's Jim? I want to meet Jim.
He was at the conference.
He was at the conference. He's a Wesley Snipes fan. He's a Wesley Snipes fan.
He enjoys Kevin Hart, too.
Does he? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Another book, I have a Bible. My Bible is Think and Grow Rich. Like I told you, I like books from the 30s. And I think that was like 39. It's Think and Grow Rich, like the original. Just get the original. They got Think and Grow Rich for women, Think and Grow Rich for black people, Think and Grow Rich. I didn't read done the book so many times. Yes, it is. Be like Amazon. Even a lemonade stand can do it. Thank you, Renee. Fantastic. She found it. It just came out. It's a great little read. You'll do it on a flight. It's a short read, and I love it. All right. So the book is Be Like Amazon. Even a lemonade stand can do it. And if you get it right, Brian, and tell him that John told you to buy it, so that he will be like, dude, you've got full, you know. So, yeah, no, there's no Think and Grow Rich for the brothers. I might write that one, Jim. You want to write that one with me? You know, it's like, but Think and Grow. Here's the deal is like the Think and Grow Rich book. And, there's another one, too, called The Millionaire Next Door. I love that book, too. And both of those books are really about the way you think, and the way you take account of where you're at, where you want to go, and put in processes to get you there, right? So it's not about just e-commerce itself. There's so much content about e-commerce out here, you know? I mean, you can get, of course, Chris Green started it. He's got his books. There's all these Facebook groups out here, so there's not a lack of things that speak about our industry as far as, Amazon. I mean, you're already in the best organization out there with ACE. I mean, you're learning from the best in the business with Sam. So, definitely keep to that. But, just you want to start working on this brain to make sure that you are able to identify opportunity. I tell people right now, man, money grows on trees. You just can't see it. I can see it. Money literally grows on trees, if you know how to think. And that's what you really want to do. All right. Okay. How about Think and Grow Rich for crazy white guys and crazy black? I ain't crazy, but we can do that. I'm so stupid. I'm stupid. It's like a crazy white guys and stupid black dudes. That would be me, But so that's a good book for you guys, or some good looks for you guys. Another thing I do is recognize, that when you're in your car, that is my college classroom. I don't listen to Bruno Mars all day. I love Prince, but I don't listen to him all day in the car. In the car, I'm always listening to a book, or I'm always listening to a speech or some kind of educational topic. I'm just not really interested in listening to other people interview other people. I know that's kind of hot right now. I could give a shit, because really, I don't want to learn about, a lot of you guys, people won't. I'm thinking about doing a book or an interview series, and all I want to talk about is how you fucked up everything. That's all I care about. I want to know. I told you I was going to say something. I'm not on stage. I don't say the F word on stage, but I say it in real life. But I really want to know about the potholes. I want to know what to avoid, because telling me all your success doesn't really help me. Telling me where you failed so I don't fall into that failure, that helps me, So when you get a chance to sit with people, when you get a chance to talk and meet some of your e-commerce idols, ask them about what's the product where they fucked up. Because 80% of the things we got that didn't sell is still sitting in our house. It's only the 20% that actually works. That's why I was telling you guys before about risk. You got to take the risk, because if you don't go through that, because only 20% of what I ever sold actually worked. And that brings me back to where I was going to go. Excellent. 2008, 2009. We got hit so bad, I had to sit back, and we had like 500 SKUs at the time, 500 different items. And I had to sit back, and I was like, okay, guys, we need to take account of where we're at. And I need to know what the 80-20 is. I need to know what the 20% of products that's making us 80% of the money. And we're going to drop everything else. So I ended up dropping 80% of my inventory. And it was the scariest thing I ever did. But because I didn't know the numbers like this, I didn't have the 80-20 mindset. That's another good book too. It's the 80-20 rule. That's another. Oh, it's a great book. Okay. So I didn't have that mindset at the time, and it scared me, because if you're saying to somebody, it's like you're already struggling. Now I want you to cut 80% of your inventory as well. And part of doing that process, we got serious about Amazon. We started looking, and we realized that most of the hot selling product we had wasn't even on Amazon at the time. So what I ended up doing is I cut the other 80% out, which freed me up, right? I'm not trying to order from all of these different people and keeping the inventory in stock and all from all these different vendors. It freed me up to focus in on that 20%, which ended up being like 6 SKUs. It was like 6 to 10 SKUs that we kept. And I just built a store around it. We built out our Amazon around it. And we flipped everything on its head. We went from being 75% eBay to all of a sudden 90% Amazon, and we did that in a 2-year period. And it just flipped everything around for me. And it allowed me I couldn't brand before, there wasn't a real brand. That's why we called Third Power at the time, because we would just find anything. And it was like, okay, well, we don't need to call it anything. Today, I got the Shoestring King, but that's because at some level I started looking. I'm like, dude, we need to go deep into this product. If I just focused in on just this product, I could really do something. And that's kind of how we ended up doing so well. It was probably what fueled us to where we are today. And I mean, like, literally, I guess that was one move. The other move was probably firing me because we're up like 30% since I left the company. So it's kind of bad. He was showing me the numbers today. He's like, we've never done that ever before. I was like, okay, whatever, whatever. Don't be trying to get me into all of that. But it's but I think I was probably that 80% for him. It was like, if he could just focus in and stop worrying about me getting ideas every day. I'm the idea guy. I got a new idea every day. It's hard to keep me on focus. So it's, as you guys can see, because I had nothing an hour ago.
He did. He had absolutely nothing. But this is great. Like, everyone should watch this because a lot of people are thinking about getting into private label and growing their business and finding ways to market themselves. So this is exactly what people needed to hear. Exactly this.
So let me talk on private label real quick. So when we were talking about the 10%, if you could take 10% of your business money and start your private label, I would say go for it. And here's the deal. I want you to think about this term private label. All right. We didn't make the private label term up. All right. I know a lot of people think that private label is an e-commerce term. It's not an e-commerce term. It's a grocery term, really. All right. Matter of fact, I believe if we went back, and I haven't done this yet, but I'm thinking about doing this on a blog post or something and talking about private label. Private label is something that the grocery stores ended up doing, right? So back when I was a kid, we used to talk about people if they had like the cheese and it was in a white box that said cheese on it, that was private label. It was cheap cheese, right? It had no brand on it. So once they realized they used to have this cheap, they had cheese, they'd have milk, I think, maybe tomato soup, but it'd be a white label, black top ring, and it'd just tell you what was on it, right? And that used to be on the shelves. So when Kroger's and these guys started recognizing that people would actually buy a white labeled product, they decided to start labeling their own products. So they were like, well, we can have, Del Monte green beans sitting next to Kroger green beans, and they'd be the same green beans because Del Monte would actually make the green beans for Kroger. Kroger's doesn't have, this big warehouse. Well, now they might have several warehouses, but at the time they didn't have all these warehouses that would make all these products for them. They just went to the same manufacturer and said, hey, would you white label one for us? Put our Kroger brand on it. And then we would sell it cheaper than the name brand. And that would be how they got started. So that was private label. So that's how Kroger's had their own private label. The difference is that Kroger's runs the store, right? See, we don't run the store. So our calling it private label is kind of like a misnomer because we don't have the shelf to put our private label on so that we could really make the money. See, Kroger's puts the private label next to the other one, sells it way cheaper because they have a thin margin of like 3% on the Del Monte, and they'll put this on there and they can get like a 20% markup, right? So that makes it make sense. For us, it's kind of counterproductive for us to consider our item private label. What I would prefer people to think of them is that we are going to brand our own product because it is about the brand that is the most important part. And I will challenge anybody that if you have a product and you've got a brand and your brand does not allow you to price a product higher than the other guys, then your brand is worthless. What? In order to have a brand, you got to be like Michael Kors. He makes cheap Chinese purses, puts his symbol on the front, and sells them for hundreds of dollars. You could go to China right now and get every single Michael Kors purse made just like Michael Kors, but you can't get the brand put on it. Once he puts that brand on it, it lets them make money. So what you want to start building is not just a label, start building your brand. Try that. All right. Think about it. And because it's when at the end, when it's all said and done, you can sell a brand. That's a great exit strategy. Somebody will walk in and say, dude, I want your brand. And you can sell a brand. A product, a private label product, if you don't have no brand around it, it's just not worth that much. It's still a job. So understand when you're going there and you're getting your product, start building a brand around that product. I'm watching people right now do this with those stupid spinners. I was just going to show you this. See that? Staples, invisible tape. Did you know that Scotch tape is a brand? Of course it is. Did you know Band-Aid is a brand? You can't get Band-Aids on anything. You can get adhesive bandages, but Band-Aids is worth a lot of money, right? Vaseline is a brand. Build a brand, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's where the money's at. All right. Anyway, but so anyway, yeah, I was just getting ready to say during that cycle, it helped me to start thinking. So now I'm thinking in recession mode all the time now. You know, I'm like, what's the next big thing that's going to hit? And I'm just going to tell you, man, I don't trust Amazon for anything. I don't trust them at all. Amazon is not your friend. You know, I've been through this with eBay. You know, I remember going to eBay Live and people be running around there because they all be third-party sellers, right? Because Amazon and eBay, rather, is all third-party stuff. They be running around face-painted blue and red shit, you know, talking about eBay and wearing a T-shirt and screaming. I'm like, y'all, eBay is not your friend, you know? And most of them are out of business today because they thought that Marketplace was their friend. The Marketplace is not your friend, and they don't even know who we are. So all this bullshit about I did 20 million yesterday, they could care less because the day that you go out of business with your $20 million brand, they got 3 other people that will do it for them the same way you did. So they don't care about us. No matter how big you get, they never will care about you. Understand that. If you think in that kind of mode all the time, then you know, hey, I'm always hustling. I got to find multiple streams of income. All right. Do you think Jet will ever be a legit threat to Amazon? So here's the thing I don't want you guys to get twisted because we keep seeing all this stuff about Amazon this, Amazon that. Amazon's doing great. Amazon's doing massive business, but Amazon only accounts for 1/2. They're at 1/2 of all e-commerce now, right? When you think about that, you're like, wow, that's huge. However, do you understand how big the retail pie is? We, all of us together, Amazon, eBay, Macy's online, and every one of us, we only make up about 9 to 10% of all of retail commerce. Just think about this. That's how big the pie is. Amazon is 5% of that pie right now. So that means there's a whole 90% of the pie to still be eaten. And I don't think we'll ever get to 100% e-commerce. I don't think that'll ever happen. I think we could still see probably 40%, maybe 50% of every dollar spent would be spent online. I can see that happening. So there's a whole lot of this pie to go. So who's going to get that other part of the pie? I don't know. I don't think it's automatically going to be Amazon for the win. I just don't, because it's too big of a pie, right? So when you're thinking about this, we got another 30 or 40% of this pie to go. Who is going to take that share of the pie? And I think Amazon is in a very good position right now. However, there are others in our midst that have some advantages depending on how the public goes. So you cannot discount a Walmart. Walmart is not making a play to beat Amazon. Walmart is just making a play to get a big piece of the rest of the pie. So Jet is a part of Walmart, and Walmart is thinking about how we can position Jet inside of our current system where we've got, you think about this, man, I think the number is 9 out of 10 people live within 15 minutes of a Walmart. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. So I think we think too small sometimes. Second day shipping is great. It's great until you get 10-minute shipping. right? And Walmart right now is in the position to be able to do that actually better than Amazon. Not saying that that's going to come to that, not saying how it's going to work out, but you just got to think about how these other players are going to scramble inside of this same space as it grows. So everybody's looking at it right now. It's got a lot of room for growth. It's going to grow massively probably in the next 3 to 5 years. And I think Amazon's well positioned to do great, but I don't think they're so positioned to take the rest of the pie. You know, somebody, they're going to share it with somebody. And so Jet could definitely be that. I'm not into Jet. I don't get it. I just don't. I'm not going to keep adding stuff so I can save 25 cents. It's just, I'd rather just do my Prime thing. I'm a Prime man, So anyway, yes, I do think Jet is legit. Obviously, Walmart thinks Jet is legit. And these Jet guys were Walmart or Amazon guys to begin with. So, it's not out of the way to think that they might do something big soon. All right.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking to us. This will be fantastic. People will watch this. We have a newsletter that we send out. I'm going to have John Lawson's book club. I wrote down all these books that you said.
Wait. I got to answer this one question from Mike. He said, how unique does your private label product have to be? It doesn't have to be unique at all. The only thing that has to be unique is your marketing. That's what makes a product unique. Usually the marketing. I mean, if you go, Frosted Flakes taste just like Kellogg's Kroger's Sugar Flake, right? It tastes the exact same. But when you got Tony the Tiger saying they're great, I just saw somebody put out. Have you guys seen this new towel? It's a towel, a sweat towel, a cooling towel.
Yeah.
You saw the commercial?
Yeah.
They got a cooling towel. And it's supposed to cool. I don't know how a towel is going to cool you more than any other towel, right? But they claim that it's going to cool you 60%. But it wasn't really the towel that we cared about. In the commercial, they've got all the sports stars saying the same thing, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, they are paying probably they got Serena Williams. They got a basketball player. I can't remember who. They got a football player. It just doesn't come to mind, but I remember Serena. Right? I mean, it's somebody big. I can't remember who. But when you see the commercial, just think about this, guys. They're probably giving away 50% of their profits. 50% of their profits just for that brand endorsement. And it's just because people believe in the words of those celebrities. So the brand or the product doesn't have to be unique, but the way you might label it, the way you might have an unboxing experience for it, and customer support. All of these kind of things are the way you make differentiation. Amazon doesn't sell anything different. They just deliver it to us in 2 days. That's their unique selling proposition. Yep. You have to have a USP.
All right. Thank you so much, John. This was a pleasure. A lot of great information. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And this will not definitely be the last you hear of us working with John. He's amazing and fantastic. So enjoy your concert, but have a blast. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us.